Are you tired of getting generic, predictable content out of these AI writing tools? Are you sick of these 5-paragraph essays with a useless intro, 3-week paragraphs, and then a useless conclusion paragraph? I can't tell you the amount of hours I've spent screaming at the screen for these exact reasons, and I decided to solve this problem once and for all. Today I'm excited to show you a bunch of prompts that push these models to think more creatively and more critically. This can really help you generate some fresh perspectives, unique arguments, and content that surprises your audience. We're going to look at prompts that introduce paradoxical tension, prompts for counterintuitive claims that can really make your content pop, unexpected connection prompts, shifting perspective prompts, and also some prompts for creating these specific scenarios that can be really helpful. All of these can really help you generate a compelling first draft, but then I want to take a look at generating intriguing structures and breaking out of this 5-paragraph problem by breaking the mold structure, starting with a debate, open-ended prompts, and embracing complexity. Jumping into my cheat sheet here, I make these for all of my videos. I have over 70 of these that are available immediately to anybody who supports me on Patreon. These include all the prompts we're going to go through today, plus a ton more. They're used as recipes where you can really start to mix and match these different prompts and use them to suit your own specific needs. So in this first section here, I've come up with a concept here I'm calling the seed and growth technique. So providing a large language model with a strong seed, a clear starting sentence, and a specific point of view or focus question that you can build upon. So thinking about provocative statements such as small businesses don't need to waste time on social media, things that go against the grain, thought-provoking questions, and focused scenarios. Let's start with the counterintuitive claim prompt. This is one that I think can really make your content stand out. I've got an example fired up. So I'm jumping into Gemini for this and putting in a prompt. I want to write a blog post about the benefits of health and wellness. Give me several counterintuitive downsides or challenges to explore. Interesting. The paradox of perfectionism. Wellness as a privilege. Very interesting. The commodification of self-care. Rise of misinformation. Obsession with external validation. You can see how these might really stand out in a health and wellness field as they cut against the grain of the common knowledge and most of the content that's created in those spaces. Another set of prompts I have in this cheat sheet are the paradoxical tension prompts. I got this from fiction. So when you think about any novel or movie, there's always some source of tension. And I think a lot of B2B writing, content marketing really lacks that. And that's what this prompt really starts to talk about. Some inherent tensions or contradictions within a specific subject, the paradoxical nature of a certain thing. There's always two sides to every story, and that's what a lot of these prompts get at. I'd also like to show you this unexpected connection prompt. This is something I've been having a lot of fun with, taking two things that are not alike and trying to match them up. Maybe it's as a metaphor or different connection points between two unlike subjects. Here's an example of that back in Gemini. Again, I'd like to write an essay making an unexpected comparison between Salvador Dali's persistence of memory and Einstein's theory of relativity. So using the large language model potentially to come up with list of things in your area of expertise or something that you're interested in and something that's very different from that. So it gets into this here, talking a little bit about the introduction and then the thesis, the differences, and some ways that these things overlap. It looks like it could be a pretty interesting draft here. And this is just an outline here that we can flesh out using tools like Claude. And it even takes some quotes from Dali into account here that we'd probably want to fact check using Perplexity. Here's another concept I came up with, the shifting perspective prompt. So challenging the LLM to write from an unusual or underrepresented point of view. Instead of writing a marketing plan for a new bakery, draft a marketing plan for a new bakery from the perspective of a customer who is highly skeptical of marketing tactics. So there's some prompts in there from that shifting perspective. What are some counterintuitive factors that might lead to success in a specific industry as well? So this isn't just about content creation. It can also be for process design and strategy work as well. Specific scenario prompt is another category here. Provide a detailed situation or challenge for the LLM to analyze and offer solutions for. Instead of write about the challenges of remote work, Say you're the head of HR at a company that just transitioned to fully remote work. Employees are struggling with maintaining a work-life balance. Draft an email addressing these concerns and offering resources. So getting very specific in the situation here. There's a handful of prompts for that where you can either take a screen grab or jump into the Patreon if you like to just copy and paste these. Now taking a look at some structural examples. So ways that you can break out of this essay mold, these 5-paragraph essays. Even that last example I went through kind of leaned in that 5-paragraph essay way. One way that's not in here that I've covered in other videos is say, hey, create a detailed outline for a specific piece. Then you can kind of work and modify that outline in various ways, then create the different sections of that outline and create really any structure that you want. But these are a little more quick and dirty ways of doing it by starting with a debate, argue whether a strong brand identity is essential for small business success, forcing the LLM to establish a position and support it with evidence, making the writing more dynamic. Another one here is unconventional structure, just telling it outright. Explore this topic with a structure that defies typical essay formats. And open-ended structure prompts. This one, I'd like a piece of writing on X topic that I couldn't easily categorize. Avoid standard structures. Write a topic about X in a style that feels more like a thought experiment than a formal essay. So these may be things you start off with, or they might be things that you modify drafts or modify outlines with. If it generates, like this last one, an outline that's a little bit more of a canned structure, you can then use these prompts to get it to think a little bit more creatively. Let's give that one a whirl here back in Gemini. Discuss the topic of sustainable agriculture in a way that completely breaks from the traditional essay format. Surprise me. Look at this. This is really cool. It has come up with a day in a farmer's journal. So it gives the date, and it's from the standpoint of a farmer. You know, you can see how this is much better than just starting with the definition of sustainable agriculture, 5 this and that. This pulls you right in, ingredients for how to be sustainable. It's like a recipe here. Mixing instructions. Very cool. Here's the superhero movie. It's giving you all sorts of different options here. This is different than the last time I tried it, so I'm a little bit surprised myself, which is right in this prompt. It says, surprise me? Well, I'm always surprised. That's much different than the 5-paragraph essay that we typically get out of a ChatGPT request. So there's definitely a lot more here in the breaking out of the mold, but I want to jump into this embracing complexity section and show you a few of these here. So I think the problem is that these generic prompts often lead to simplistic and predictable writing, but real world issues and ideas are rarely simple or easily solved. And that's what this group of prompts really tries to get at. So the power of circular or multifaceted prompts. I like these circular relationship prompts because it shows how, this cause and effect and these repeating processes, these repeating trends that kind of strengthen each other can be, sometimes they're not very apparent. The large language models can unearth those. Similarly, with these multiple influences, it's not always just one cause and one effect, but maybe there's a bunch of different things that go into these different scenarios that you can use these large language models to help you uncover. Let me show you one of these here in Gemini. Again, explore the feedback loop between urban green spaces and community well-being. How do they continuously influence each other? This is generating an outline here. You might want to then take this into Claude and create a draft based on this. I really like Gemini for its thought process, and I like Claude for its writing. So here's a few more prompts from the embracing complexity section. We looked at the circular prompt. We talked a little bit about these multifaceted prompts, benefits of embracing complexity, and just really putting the focus on inherent complexity, looking at ethical dilemmas inherent in whatever field you're in. This can really resonate with folks. Analyzing ways in which a specific concept is both beneficial and harmful, so trying to see it from both sides as much as possible. Also exploring unintended consequences of some sort of a trend or an innovation, what complexities have emerged, and prompts that challenge linear thinking here. Here's one I wanted to show you from the multifaceted section. Analyze how different stakeholders, patients, doctors, insurance companies might view the issue of healthcare reform. So this can really help you get a full view of what's going on. I think this is the type of journalism, frankly, that the world needs these days. This outlines really what patients think. It's funny, Gemini's doing a lot of bullet point lists today. It's not always the case, but it's kind of funny how these things change on a day-to-day basis. So I've taken that outline and asked it to please generate an essay that explores how these interests intersect and diverge. Please use a more sophisticated format than the typical 5-paragraph essay and include section headings with counterintuitive statements. And navigating the convergence and conflicts in healthcare reform interests. The title here with some fairly interesting subheads. I think there's more that we can do with this, and that gets us into the next video of this 3-part content series, the 7 levels of editing. I'll have more information about that here in a second. But overall, this is, I think, a little bit different, a little bit better than our normal just creating something about healthcare reform straight out of ChatGPT and trying to manipulate it from there. There's a lot we could do, though, looking for stats and looking for different ways to rearrange this. But I like this bullet points at the end. Where do we go from here? It does look at all the different sides of it. So I think we are pushing these large language models to create something that is more engaging than you would get from a weak prompt. There's a bunch more here in the cheat sheet that we don't have time to get into. I'll just scroll through this. You can try some of these out as you like, but I appreciate you watching, and let me know in the comments if there's any questions here. If you have anything to add, maybe you've got some prompts that are working really well to really shake these things up and get them to think outside of the box a little bit more. The next video is all about editing. So once we have a decent first draft, there are many ways that we can edit that, and being very specific in how we edit it inside of the large language model can get you to a usable draft much faster than ever before. I think folks struggle with exactly how to edit it, and we're going to go through a whole process for that in the next video. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my Patreon if you're getting something out of these videos, in addition to all the cheat sheets that you could immediately have access to. I've got some coaching options in there, got some fun calls that are happening on Tuesday afternoons, group calls you can jump on, ask me some questions, collaborate with other folks, learn about what other folks are doing in this space. Some one-on-one coaching in there as well. But please, if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and get ready to check out that 7 levels of editing video that is the 3rd and final part of this content series that I'm working on. See you in the next video.
Make your dreams come true! True!